remember going to the chiropractor in 5th grade. My mom wanted me to go because I had some imbalances in my body and all of that stuff. Still do. Chiropractic work really doesn't work for me for whatever reason. But while we were in the waiting room, my mom handed me her iPhone 3GS because we were back in 5th grade and that's what was available at the time. And I loved it. I was able to play some games on it. I don't know if you guys remember anything like Brick Breaker or Skate Man or Stick Stunt Biker, some of the best games that I thought were out during the time. And yeah, it's those moments that were really great for me. And then years later in high school, I decided to look back at those old phones. And I was just wondering about seeing where we came from with like all of our phones and the technology. And I ended up finding the old iPhone video of Steve Jobs announcing the first one at the Apple conference in 2007. And he announced it on a YouTube video. It was 2 megapixel camera, and the iPhone was running Mac OS at the time. That was the best that they had to run it with. And just watching that video, from the future, I could feel the change that was happening in that room. I could see where everything was going to be heading and just all of the feelings and emotions in that room of excitement. And this is why I knew that I wanted to speak about Steve Jobs today as an influential speaker. When he gives a speech, he uses a lot of emotion. He's very personable. He understands his audience and dips into their emotion while also using the facts. He makes sure that things are kept basic for his audience, so he's not talking above them too high, but he also adds pathos as a way to make them feel while they're thinking. And it's for these reasons that I think that he really does do a great job as a speaker, and is very unique. So, not many people can give an effective college address to a graduating college class without first going to college, but Steve Jobs did. He opened, honestly, with the fact that he hadn't graduated from college, which is, again, a bit hard to tell the class of Stanford. However, he focused back by telling how the classes that he did take, he ended up focusing in on what he thought would be helpful to him. I feel like we all would know from our own classes that there are classes that we love to take and that we plan on using in the future. And that's exactly what he talked about. He talked about how he used those classes later in life to help set things up like the Mac and so on and so forth for Pixar and his other companies. So giving influence on those ideas for the people he was talking to and relating to them even without finishing college like they are was very influential for them. To change ideas, think different with Apple. It's one of their campaigns that they were working on. He announced it to his company and some of its employees before they launched it with the showing of Pixar, which he was also a part of, or Toy Story with Pixar, sorry. He used a little bit of business lingo because he knew that his audience could understand that, but really he connected them by encouraging them in the good work that they were doing at Apple. He made sure that their innovations and their ideas were known and that he was aware of them. And in fact, that was exactly what Think Different was about. It was about Apple showing the world that they wanted to empower those who are working towards innovation. He used this to parallel towards his audience to make them feel like they were a part of the campaign, that they were being shown the campaign and could actually feel what was going on and what the people that they would be showing it to would be feeling. Yes, Steve Jobs also loves to use pathos for comedic effect. When he released the iPhone, he decided to show a picture of it. And he was like, all right, this is the new revolutionary device here. And he shows it on the screen. And it's a really, really old iPhone with a screen about this big and an old dial-up. And I don't know if you guys remember dial-up. We're semi in that area. But everyone knew that that was not the phone. And they thought it was very, very funny because they didn't know what to expect at the time. Or when he was talking to the Stanford address and he was talking about his work at Apple, and then he just goes, oh yeah, and Microsoft. They just copy everything we do. And all these little jokes that he used to just keep his audience engaged. And that's really what he uses it for, is to keep them engaged and listening so that they can continue taking in the information he's teaching them and showing them without getting bored. He uses pathos for meaningfulness as well. It's not just all jokes with Steve. So he uses, going back to the Think Different campaign, the innovators. in that campaign, he used people like Albert Einstein, Gandhi, Rosa Parks, all as as figures for this innovation idea. When getting those people and getting their images and videos of them, it's not an easy thing to go through. You have to go through their families, themselves, whoever's around to give you permission. And he built his credibility by saying, we got that okay from all of those families so that we could then use their pictures in a respectful way that honored them. So basically he wanted to continue empowering those innovators that were to come by also reflecting and respecting those that came and innovated before us. So pathos is a way for him to reach out to the heart of the audience, and he knows that it's very powerful, so he leans on it very heavily. Sorry, excuse me 1 second. Yes. So yeah, he had vision when he spoke, and he was learning how to speak and how to connect with others, and did a very good job of just making sure that he was able to reach them where they were. Yeah. So with that, I would just like to say that he is, oh man, I totally messed up the end of this. Oh well, that's how it goes sometimes, I guess. But yeah, so Steve Jobs is just someone who really goes towards his audience and really wants to make sure that they felt like they've been heard and they know that he is talking directly to them. So I would recommend going back and looking at the old iPhone video like I did when I was in high school, and just see how he connects with his audience and just see how the emotions that he used plays on that. And I think by looking at those examples, we can really see how Steve Jobs affects the world and how we could use that to then meet those where others were when we speak to them.